The revolution at Manchester United has begun. The club's management has placed 6 potential signings on the table, including a defender, a left winger, and a midfielder, in order to strengthen the squad. At the same time, the club has closed the file on the 4 loaned-out players and decided their future. On another front, 3 players will leave the club. Some will depart on free transfers, while others have refused to renew their contracts and have chosen to move on. In addition, there are players whose contracts will be renewed. Now, as part of the Transfer Market Revolution series, we present a full analysis and complete summary of Manchester United. So stay with us. Welcome, my friends, to the BePart Sports channel. Players who will leave the club. Carlos Casemiro. The decision has been made. The player will leave Old Trafford this summer. The Brazilian international has announced his departure after the end of his contract, despite negotiations to extend it under reduced financial terms. The club attempted to restructure the agreement. The player listened, but in the end, both parties reached the same conclusion. Parting ways is the best option. But the most important question for you as a supporter now is, where will he go? The destination remains undecided at this moment. His name has been linked with clubs in Portugal, Saudi Arabia, the United States, and even a possible return to Brazil. The range of options reflects that the player still has an open market, but there is no final agreement. Manuel Ugarte. The player will follow Casemiro as part of the club's plan to make major changes in midfield this summer. When you look at the numbers, you understand the reason. Ugarte joined from Paris Saint-Germain in 2024 and was expected to give the team immediate solidity. But the reality was different. He started only 7 out of 18 league matches this season. That means he did not establish himself as a first-choice option. The problem was not commitment, but adaptation. English football is fast and direct, and Ugarte struggled to impose his rhythm in that context. But the most important point is not the performance of a single player. The club itself is planning a fundamental overhaul of the midfield, and that means the decision is strategic, not personal. Mason Mount. Manchester United are considering selling the player for £20 million this summer. According to the Men newspaper, the management is clearly thinking of a financial step before a technical one. The discussion here is not only about sporting evaluation, but also about reducing the losses associated with the player. You know that Mount arrived amid high expectations, but the reality is that his natural position is occupied by Bruno Fernandez. Bruno's constant presence in the same role has limited Mount's space, and therefore his contribution has been less than expected. For this reason, the club's management believes that selling the player now for £20 million could be a step to ease the financial burden, rather than continuing to carry the cost of his contract without a clear starting role. At the same time, this decision reflects something important. The club is reorganising its priorities in midfield and implicitly acknowledging that the project requires greater clarity in the distribution of roles. But is this a smart financial correction, or an early admission that the deal did not succeed as planned? The future of the loaned players. Marcus Rashford. The player has reached an agreement with Barcelona, and a return to Old Trafford now appears unlikely. According to the newspaper Mundo Deportivo, Marcus Rashford, 28, has completed a full agreement with Barcelona in order to remain there if the Catalan club decides to activate the purchase clause worth €30 million from Manchester United. In simple terms, the player has made his decision. The ball is now in Barcelona's court, but the most important development came from inside Manchester United itself. Michael Carrick, the team's manager, acknowledged before the match against Newcastle that the club is searching the transfer market for a left winger. This is not a passing remark. It is a direct hint. When you are looking for a left winger, while you already have Rashford on loan in the same position, it means that his return is not part of the plan. Jadon Sancho. Unai Emery opens the door, and the player may not return to Manchester United. Aston Villa manager Unai Emery has stated clearly that he is open to signing Jadon Sancho on a permanent basis. Sancho, 25, is currently playing on a full-season loan at Villa from Manchester United. But the most important point here is that he is due to become a free agent in the summer. What does that mean? It means Villa would not need to enter negotiations with United if his contract expires. The decision would be directly between the player and the club. Emery was clear in his press conference. When asked whether he had considered signing him for next season, he said, "Not yet, but he is a great player." Notice the balance here: no commitment and no denial. He then added that they hope he will continue to strengthen his abilities within the squad as he is doing now. Why is this important? Because Sancho started slowly. Yet the manager is linking his future to the path of his development. If he continues to improve, the door remains open. Rasmus Hland. The player is moving closer to leaving, but not through a direct sale, rather through a calculated step towards Italy. The Danish striker has moved to Napoli on loan until the end of the 2025-26 season, coming from Manchester United. But the details here are the most important part. The agreement includes a clause that could turn the loan into a permanent transfer. If Napoli qualify for the UEFA Champions League, there will be a possible obligation to complete the purchase next summer. What does that mean? It means Hojlund's future is no longer linked only to his own performances, but also to Napoli's entire season. After a difficult season at Old Trafford, the player is looking for a different environment. Meanwhile, Napoli gain a young striker without the immediate risk of a permanent contract. But the situation is not yet settled. If the qualification condition is not met, the ball returns to Manchester United's court. But if it is achieved, the loan would effectively become the end of his journey in England. Onana. The goalkeeper is experiencing a different season between Turkey and England. The Cameroonian goalkeeper is currently playing on loan at Trabzonspor, but there is a growing sense that he could be allowed to leave permanently by the summer. Despite this, Onana is determined to compete for his place at Manchester United. The player has spoken again after the impressive form of Senne Lammens, the new goalkeeper, who has become the first choice and is delivering strong performances on the pitch. The story began in September when Onana moved from Royal Antwerp on the final day of the transfer window, and the club decided to send him on loan to Turkey. The important point here, Trabzonspor do not have the option to buy the player permanently. This means Onana will return to Manchester United next summer, where he has already made 72 appearances for the team. But will Onana find his way back as the first choice, or is his experience in Turkey preparing the ground for a new chapter away from Old Trafford? Expected new signings. Bruno Gini. Will the player become the new face of Manchester United's midfield this summer? The reports say that the Red Devils have already begun informal talks with Gini's representatives as a preliminary step towards trying to sign him. The reason is clear. Casemiro's departure will leave a gap in midfield that requires immediate cover. Gini is not just another player. He has been Newcastle's captain since August 2024. He has scored 9 goals and provided 5 assists in 23 Premier League matches this season. But there is an important point. He missed the last 5 matches due to a hamstring injury, and this is a factor Manchester United must consider before making a final decision. But will he be able to adapt quickly and take responsibility for United's midfield after Casemiro's departure? In the end, everything will depend on the upcoming talks and how the management handles the possibilities. Mickey van de Ven. Manchester United have officially entered the race to sign the player, the Tottenham defender. The competition for the player has become intense, with Liverpool and Real Madrid already beginning negotiations. However, United, under its new leadership, has decided to focus on signings that suit the team, and Van de Ven is among these priorities. But will Manchester United be able to win the deal amid competition from Europe's biggest clubs, or will Real Madrid or Liverpool prevail? Kenneth Ihorn. Manchester United have set their sights on Ihorn, Germany's rising talent. The player is only 16 years old, but this season he has been a major surprise in the German second division. He took part in 12 matches before suffering an ankle injury that kept him out for several weeks. Ihorn is the captain of Germany's under-17 national team, and his impressive performances show that he is one of Europe's most promising emerging talents. A player of this age performing at such a level is not ordinary, and this is what attracts United's attention. Despite reports denying that he will leave next summer, the possibility of departing from the club where he developed remains present. The reason? He exceeded the contract clauses last summer, and there is a release clause worth €12 million, which makes him an attractive deal for any club. Hertha have not yet reached a satisfactory agreement to renew his contract, and time is passing before the start of the transfer market. Now the question is, will United manage to secure this talent before any other club? Abubakar, Sidi, Kinte. Manchester United are closely monitoring the Gambian international Kinte after an eye-catching season in Norway. The 19-year-old joined Tromsø last year and took part in 19 matches in the Norwegian top division in 2025, proving to be a strong addition to the team. His development quickly attracted attention and did not go unnoticed in the major leagues, especially the Premier League. According to reports, Chelsea and United have shown strong interest in signing him, along with Ajax and PSV Eindhoven. United, however, appear to be very serious about the deal. The next step will be to send a scouting team to watch Tromsø's opening match against Fredrikstad on March 15th. Ollie Watkins. Manchester United may have a major opportunity this summer with Ollie Watkins. Reports indicate that Aston Villa are ready to let the former Brentford striker leave for just €34.2 million, despite his current contract still having 2 years remaining. The 30-year-old has played 24 of the club's 28 matches in the Premier League this season and has scored 8 goals. He remains a regular starter, even after the arrival of Tammy Abraham on a permanent deal from Besiktas for €21 million. An offer below €35 million appears acceptable to Aston Villa, according to a report by Football Insider. Felix de Mecha. The player has come onto the radar of Manchester United and Chelsea this season. He is a star at Borussia Dortmund, but he also knows the Premier League well after a short spell with Manchester City, which increases his appeal to major clubs. The German newspaper Bild confirmed that Dortmund will not let Mecha leave for less than €70 million, which makes the deal a major challenge for any club seeking to sign him. However, I believe the transfer would be very complicated. Players whose contracts have been renewed. Bruno Fernandez. Manchester United are fighting to keep Bruno Fernandez this summer. The player wants to stay and help the team win trophies, but United need to present a convincing offer in order to extend his contract. Fernandez has delivered an excellent season so far, becoming the player with the most assists in the Premier League, with 13, contributing directly to the team's improved results. But will United be able to meet Fernandez's ambitions before competition from other clubs intensifies?